asana. One of the few yoga sutras and one of the few places in Vedic literature in general, in ancient literature, that refers at all to asana, sthira sukham asana. And what this Yoga Sutra is saying is that we want to have a steady and easy seat. We want stability from the steadiness, and we want comfort from the ease. And it is saying seat because the main seat when the 8 limbs of yoga was first established was the seat of meditation. And the other asanas, the other postures were done so that you would have the steadiness and the ease in sitting. So you need to have a certain amount of flexibility in order to sit on the earth, and you need to have a certain amount of strength to sit upright, allowing the full and free movement of the breath, which of course is also so important in the 8-limbed practice. However, we have supposedly evolved, but maybe not so much, and most of us now find it quite difficult to sit on the earth. So I am going to offer some different options. You can simply sit on a folded blanket. Try to have your blanket folded as neatly as possible, corner to corner. This one has come a little bit undone, but as you can see, it's pretty flat and firm. Don't go for a fleece blanket. Go for something that's really firm. The firmer your seat, the more support it will give you. So that would be if you need a support at all, the lowest level of support. Make sure that both of your sit bones are balancing evenly on the blanket. I'm in Sukhasana, heels lining up with pubis. You could also sit in Swastikasana. Knees come closer together, and more than the ankles crossing, the shins actually cross. And one of the other recommendations is that either way, you take turns, again, creating that balance, sometimes sitting with one ankle in front and sometimes sitting with the other ankle in front, or one foot in front and the other ankle in front. And by sometimes, I mean half the time, half the time each way. So that would be Sukhasana or Swastikasana. You can also sit in Ardha Padmasana, 1 foot way up into the groin. Most people cannot sit in full Padmasana, lotus pose, long enough to have a comfortable meditation. So make sure that you're comfortable. That really is the most important thing. But if you can sit in half lotus, certainly feel free to do that. Again, make sure that half the time you're sitting in the other half lotus. Now, if that is not comfortable for you, I would advise a block. You could try sitting cross-legged on the block. It'll give you a little more height. But you might also try a Virasana. I'll show you that from the side. I put it at the medium height, long ways across between my ankles, squeezing my thighs together. And you can see how this easily supports the dropping of the tailbone, the pulling in of the low belly, and the lift and spread of the chest. And then the balancing of the back of the skull over the sacrum. And you want to really press the front of the feet down, the shins down, so that we have that root to rise feeling that we'll be talking a lot throughout the program, pressing down to feel a sense of lifting up. So that is hero's pose. So that is hero's pose or Virasana. And if that is not comfortable, you can try sitting on a bolster. Again, the higher up the support is, the more the thighs will be able to open and the knees to drop. And that is one of the things that we are aiming for, that the knees would be in line with the hip creases or even a little beneath the hip creases. You can also, to make this even a little more comfortable, I was sitting in Sukhasana. You can roll up your blanket, put it out in front of you, and then cross your ankles over the blanket. And just make sure that both of your feet are on the floor. And that is quite delicious. So even though I can sit in full lotus for a little bit and half lotus for quite a while and these other postures, I can sit right on the mat without a blanket. There are days when this is what I need and what I give to myself. And if this is what you always need, then always give it to yourself. Sometimes none of these work. Some people simply need to sit in a chair. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you need, give that to yourself. Feel free to sit in a chair. I am not leaning back against the back of the chair. It is important, if you can, to sit upright of your own strength and volition. And I am planting my feet into the floor. I'm balancing evenly between my sit bones. I'm resting my palms on my thighs just because that gives a little more sense of grounding. And at the same time, by not holding onto the chair, I'm allowing my spine and my core to strengthen by sitting upright. So those are your choices for seated. I'm sure there are even more than that. There are many products out there, cushions and other things that are specifically designed for meditation. One thing I will say though is that meditation is not done reclining, and it is not done sinking back into a support. Sometimes if you're injured, you'll need to recline or sit back into a chair. But as long as you possibly can, sit upright without any support, do so. Namaste.